Good morning, everyone. Andy with Step and Hit Tennis today. I'm about to string a racket, and I want to talk about a few things here today because I'm going to do a one-piece string job on this. And this particular racket is going to require an ATW, which is called an around the world or a box pattern, sometimes commonly called on this racket, due to the mains finishing down in the throat. And I'll talk about that for a minute because most manufacturers, to my knowledge, do not like their rackets strung from the throat up to the head. And there's a reason for that, because the throat is the strongest part of the racket. And therefore, if you string from the head down to the throat, the pressure is applied to the throat of the racket, which has more support and more strength. If you string from the throat up to the head, it stresses the frame more. Now, in these modern rackets and with a 6-point mounting system, are they probably going to be okay if you string from the throat to the head? Probably, but I'm just kind of particular about not putting any more stress on the frame than necessary because stringing does stress the frame. I do want to talk about a couple of things with this racket, and one of the reasons I like one-piece string jobs, now, theoretically, you enjoy a greater dynamic tension with a one-piece string job because there's only 2 knots, which in the dynamic tension, as I understand it, is the overall tension, the tension of the overall string bed tends to be a little more even and tends to hold a little sharper than with 2-piece. Now, can I prove that? Myself personally, no. But theoretically, that is the idea. But we all string, and I string lots of 2-piece, more than I do 1-piece. And we all string these things. 2-piece is a perfectly good stringing. But these 2 rackets actually call for a 1-piece. They work well with a 1-piece. So I'm going to do so. Now, a couple of things. One of the advantages to a 1-piece for the stringer is that I'm cutting this off of a reel of Yonex Poly Tour Pro this morning, a string that I like a lot, a poly that I like a lot. It's the flash yellow. If you'll notice, as I hold these up, I have one side that's got lots of string and one side that's got just a little bit. And the reason is because you have a short side and a long side when it comes to stringing an around the world pattern. So what I've done is I've come down here and I've counted out, this racket's a little unusual. It's an old Wilson hammer, very cool, by the way. It's an old Wilson hammer. It's an 18 by 19 string pattern. Since there's 9 mains on each side, I actually counted out 10 pulls of the string, because what's going to happen is my next to last main on this side is going to become my top cross. And in this around the world pattern, and I will show that later as we get to that point. But a couple things about this racket. Normally when I string a 98 or 100 inch racket head, I can use on a one-piece stringing, I can use from about 33 to 35 feet of string rather than a whole 40-foot set. Now this racket, I've chosen to go with a whole 40-foot set because not only is it an 18 by 19 string pattern, 2 extra mains, but it is a 110 square inch head. And again, very cool. It's an older Wilson hammer, but very cool racket. I'm kind of excited to get it and be able to string it. One other feature about this particular racket, not too many rackets have this, but some do, that you have to pay attention to as a stringer. This right down here, don't know how well you can see this, but they have a little built-in dampener system right down here. So when you cut the string out, you have to pull these dampeners off and then reinsert them, and then reinsert them right here. I don't know if you can see this well. And then you reinsert them, and the string actually, this is not a dampener that you put in the racket after you string it. This is actually strung into the racket. So as you can see right here, I've got my first strings actually going through here. Through this portion of the dampener, and the other end of the dampener here has the grommet on either side. Here is an extra long grommet, and it mounts onto there. Kind of a nice little string dampener system if you like that. So I'm going to get started. and we're going to pause. And as I get to the end of toward the end of the mains, where I actually start having to do the ATW pattern, then we will resume the video at that point. So stay tuned, and we'll be there shortly. Okay, everyone, we're resuming this video about the ATW one-piece stringing pattern. Couple things to notice here. You can see where I've strung all three of these strings. There's three different slots in these dampeners, and I've strung the mains here. Now we get to the real meat of the ATW pattern. If you'll notice here, I'm clamped off down here, and I'm ready to move on from here. But I've got this racket has 18 mains in it and 19 crosses. So on this side, what I call the long side, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all 9 crosses I've got strung so far. But on the short side, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and only 7 mains strung so far. Because the short side on the 8th main is going to come up here and become the top cross. And I'm going to string that before I start the bottom cross. And there's a couple of things that to note here, that as we do this, and I'm going to go ahead and string this, and I'll talk about this as I'm weaving this string. If you notice, I'm coming up here, and I actually skip this hole because this racket requires a skip on the 8th hole. So here we go. I'm stringing the 8th main here, and remember there are 9 mains on both sides. So I'm stringing the 8th main. Now this that would normally come down here, you see, it would finish in the throat. And so I don't want to string from the throat up to the head. So what I'm coming up here to do is, I'm coming over to this hole right here, and this is going to become, this 8th main, next to last main, is going to become my top cross. So it's going to come over here. Let me weave this through. And we'll talk about this weave because this is also very critical to getting the one-piece string job accurate. So let me get this in here, and a couple other things we'll talk about here. Okay, see, I've got the 8th main. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 9 that becomes on my mains over here. And now I'm coming over here to the top cross. Now there's a couple of things that's going to happen here. You can't do an ATW pattern without a starting clamp. And I'll show you why in just a second. Because you have to be able to clamp this top cross here. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to clamp. I'm going to pull this top cross, but I'm going to clamp it with a starting clamp. And I'm going to get it as close as I can to there. This tension will be put back on it, but now I'm going to release this tension. Okay, so the starting clamp is now holding this main here, and you'll see why in just a second. So now I'm coming back over here, and I'm taking this long side. And whenever you're stringing a one-piece string job, it's always a little bit of a pain in the rear at first because you have most of the string on the long side. You have to kind of get used to pulling it all through. So here now, when it comes to the weave throughout the racket, you have to be sure that you get the weave to match properly as it goes down with this bottom string, because you're putting the bottom cross in right now. It's a very simple process. If the racket has an even number of crosses, then the weave matches, then the weave is opposite of what it is at the top. If the racket has an uneven number of crosses, which this has 19, then I simply make it the same as it is at the top, so that the weave finishes up, and we'll show that at the end of the stringing here. So this first string, this very, oh, I got it in the wrong one. There we go. Now we got it. There we go. Now this very first cross down here at the bottom, the last cross, the top cross is over on this string here. So I'm going to make it match that. And as I pull through, I'm going to weave this through here. If you'll notice, I'm coming under this last cross here, and having a little bit of trouble getting that through there. Come on. Let's get this guy through here first. There we go. Okay, so if you will notice, get that little kink out of there, not going to matter because it's at the end. I'm over here and I'm under here. And that matches the top string. I'm under on this side, I'm over here because I have an uneven number of crosses. Because what's going to happen is, as I weave down, that will make the crosses weave up. If this were 18 crosses or 20 crosses, I would make this the opposite. Instead of being over here and over here, I would be over here and under here. And that's important to remember as you're stringing a one-piece string job. So let's go. We're about done with the guts of this one-piece string job, because once you get to the top and you get going in the on the second main, once you get the top main tied off and you get going in the second main, then everything is just normal from there. So here we go. I'm going to pull this bottom cross now. Now, the reason you have to use a starting clamp is that you've got to release this clamp in order to come down and clamp the bottom cross off here. So see, I'm clamping that bottom cross off right there. And now the bottom cross then becomes, remember, we are one main string short here. So this now becomes the 9th main on the short side. So we put this through here and we pull all this through. Okay, this now, there we go. Now I've got this, and now I'm releasing this clamp. That's why you have to have the starting clamp, though, because you have to be able to clamp off the string over here. So you must have a starting clamp in order to be able to do an ATW pattern, a one-piece string job. Now I'm actually releasing this clamp right now so that I can allow some tension into this string. So here I am. I'm going to weave now I'm going to weave the second main here. And we're getting close to the point to where we are to where everything's going to become normal. Here I am weaving through here, and I've made sure all my weave matches up properly. I'm over here, I'm under there, I'm under here, I'm over there. I started under here and I finished over there. And I might mention, as a stringer, when you're going through this, as long as the way you start is opposite of the way you finish, you generally don't have a mistake in your weaving. In order for you to have a mistake in your weaving and to finish opposite of each other, you would have to have made 2 mistakes in the weaving, and generally you're not going to do that. But I recommend that you be careful and watch your weaving there, because you don't want to send a racket out to someone where you've got an improper weaving to one of your clients. So here we go. Now I'm coming out here and I'm fixing to pull. I'm about to pull this next cross here. And when I do that, I'm going to take this and I'm going to release this clamp and the opposite clamp then. Another thing, I like to straighten my strings as I go as much as possible. Okay, now I've clamped this off. That's my second cross. Now I'm going to attend to the top cross. And what I'm going to do is here, well, I said I was going to attend to the top cross. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm going to string one more cross before I do that. And there's a reason for that. We'll show that here in a second. I'm going to string one more cross first. And let's see, where are we here? Here we go. And there's a reason I'm doing this. And we'll talk about this here in a second. Okay, now there's the third cross. I make sure I'm under here, I'm over here, I'm over here, under there, I'm under there, and I'm over there. So my pattern is good. We're going to pull this dude through, and I'm going to show you why we're going to weave this third cross before we tie this knot off. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to do this here. All right, now I'm pulling this cross tight. So what I'm doing is, this is why you have to have the starting clamp. I'm actually releasing this clamp here that was helping to hold this top cross. All the pressure is now on the starting clamp because I'm going to clamp the third cross off right here. Now I'm going to come back around and I'm going to re-pull the tension back into this top main, and I'm going to clamp it off with this clamp here, because remember, in a one piece, this clamp is coming across here, and now this cross, the pressure on this cross is actually being held right here. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to pull the tension back into this top cross. I'm going to remove the starting clamp. Now I'm going to release this clamp, because this is holding the string right here. I'm going to release this clamp. I'm going to clamp that off. Now I'm going to tie this knot off. And then at this point, everything's going to become normal. Again, I use a Parnell knot. I like the Parnell knot. To me, it's a quick and easy. The Wilson Pro knot is also a very good knot. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just used to the Parnell knot, and I prefer it. So let's see here as I get through here. There we go. Loop that dude back through and back up through here. Whoops. Yeah, there we go. See, I got it under the wrong one. Little bit of a tight area here. Now, hold on. Let me get this. A little bit of a tight spot. Kind of got it looped the wrong direction here. All right. Yeah, you get to watch me struggle with a real tight area here. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to loop this back up through here. I'm going to cinch this. Again, one of the reasons I like the Parnell knot in particular is because it puts very little stress on the frame to tighten the knot and to get a good snug knot. So here we go, just a little bit of a pull, and then when you pull this up, it's cinched in there good. I always give it just a little extra, but that dude is cinched in there good. So here we are. Now I've got this all tied off. I'm going to leave everything as it is until I run my next two runs, and I always run two ahead. But from here on out now, let me run this next. Let me run this next cross. Oh, it doesn't want to go through that hole very well. Here we go. All right. That hole's being a little stubborn on me, isn't it? Here we go. Come on. Well, come on, bud. This guy is not wanting to cooperate very well. There we go. Now I got it. Okay. I just make sure I start properly. The last cross ended under, so I'm starting over. And we're almost done with the guts of this ATW pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and make two weaves here. The one thing I don't like about this hammer is these little slots that are in the frame here to make it a little bit difficult sometimes to feed it properly through the hole. So in this hole, I'm having a hard time even seeing. So you get to see me struggle a little bit. You know what? I am actually going to take my awl, make that hole a little more visible to me. Hopefully I can see that a little better now. And we'll get, there it is. Now I can see it. Okay. So now I've got this guy through here. I've made sure I'm over here, I'm under here, and it matches the rest of the weave pattern. And here we go. Nearly done with the bulk of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and start my my one ahead pattern on stringing now. So I'm over there. There we go. Okay, again, I just don't like that little design there because I have to look. Okay, so here we go. Almost there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and pull, and I'm going to clamp off, and we're off and running. Okay, this is my 4th cross. It's actually my 5th cross because remember, we have one at the bottom already. Now I'm releasing this clamp at the top because we've already tied that knot off. Over here, clamp that dude off. And from here on out, everything is just normal. And we just finish up down right above this bottom cross. And when we're done, I'll show you the racket as we get done, but it'll be, you can't tell the difference between it and a 2-piece job except there's only 2 knots. So we'll pause here, but hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this is helpful to anyone working on a 1-piece string job. There's a few little eccentricities to it. It's not hard. You don't need to be afraid of it. If you have any questions about this, love to take your comments. If you like, please like and subscribe. And always remember, guys, square up, stand tall, step and hit. Most important, have fun. Okay, here we go. We're about to finish up this 1-piece string job. And I want to show something here. Remember, we talked about how to make sure you get the weave correctly at the end. I'm about to put the very last cross in. If you notice, I've already got the bottom cross in from previously doing the going into the short side of the racket. So I only have 1 cross left. And remember how I talked about if you have an uneven number of crosses, which this racket has 19, you make the bottom cross match the top cross. And here's the reason why. Or if you have an even number of crosses, you make the bottom cross opposite of the top cross as far as the weave is concerned. Because I'm about to put this last one in, and here I am, because I've done it properly, and and this has an odd number of crosses. I made the bottom cross match the top cross. Now I'm putting the last one in, and everything matches. This string is under here, it's over here, and then the bottom cross is under, which is exactly as it should be doing. So here we are. I'm going to finish this up, and I'll pull this last cross, and I will tie off another parnel knot I might mention, and then I'll pull the racket out and hold it up and show it to you. But it's really on this around the world pattern. Don't be afraid of it. It just has some eccentricities, and you just need to pay attention as you're going along to make sure you get this correct. So here we are. I'm getting very close to. Let's see if I can get this dude through there. Always, when you have an overlapping string, it always becomes a little difficult sometimes to push that string through there. Every now and then, I even have to trim one off and kind of slice it a little bit. Let's see if we can get this guy through. Got it. There we go. All right, so here we go. Last cross. And this is a stubborn guy here. Sometimes you have them like this. If they're a little stubborn, they just don't want to pull through very well. And you just kind of have to work them through. And really on this last one, it's just kind of hard sometimes because you don't normally want to just pull straight through on a cross. But sometimes on this, you don't have a lot of choice because it's really stiff going through these holes and passing through where other strings are. So here we go. Got this guy here. Make sure I'm not kinked anywhere. And I'm going to pull this last cross. All the weaves match up. They all match up properly because of doing it the way that I mentioned for you to do it. So here we are now. We're coming to this very last cross, and I'm fixing to tie the knot. And then I'll pull this guy out and let you look at it. So let's see where we're going to tie this knot here. All right, this guy's going to tie off right here. Again, a little tight spot here. I'm actually going to trim this string off some because I don't need this much to tie the knot. I'm going to trim a chunk of that string off. I didn't need quite as much to finish this as I thought I did, but I was being careful. I was being careful to make sure I had plenty of string the first time. So here we go. Again, tight little spot there. Sometimes just have that. You just have to figure out a way to live with it. I actually have to push that down just a little bit so I can get this second piece through here. All right. All right. And I'm fixing to cinch up this good old Parnell knot, and there we go. And once again, I like the Parnell knot because it cinches nice and snug without having to stress the frame much at all. So as you can see, I didn't really torque the frame much, just a little bit to make sure it's snugged up really good. Now we'll cut this dude off, and I'm fixing to take this dude out of here. Now I release the clamp bases first, and then I like to release these clamps slowly to allow the tension not to just snap back in. They just kind of settle in a little bit. So let's take this guy out and take a look at it. Okay, here we are. Really cool. Wilson, old Wilson hammer with a built-in dampener, 18 by 19 string pattern with Yonex Polytour Pro at 50 pounds. Have to see how the customer likes this, but very cool racket in my opinion. Always remember, guys, square up, stand tall, step and hit. Most important, tennis is a great sport of a lifetime. Have fun.